My name is Joy Bardo. My employee number is 313, and I was hired in 1971, but I was the last original employee hired in 1971, so I didn't start in June. But I decided one day that I wanted to work for an airline, and so I came out to Love Field to apply for all the airlines. And I was fortunate enough to get a job offer at Braniff as a flight attendant, starting out at $850 a month. And then I went down the hall and I applied at Texas International, and I got offered a job there as secretary to the station manager, starting out at like $800 a month. And then I told them I'd think about it, told all of them I'd think about it, and I went down the hall and thought I would go apply at all the other ones because I was getting all these job offers. So I went and asked for Eastern. I asked this, there was a little girl in the hall, and she was dressed in an orange jumpsuit and like coveralls, and I asked her where Eastern was, and she said, well, Eastern is in another state. You can't, are you looking for a job? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, why don't you try Southwest? And I said, what is a Southwest? And she said, well, it's a brand new airline, and I work there, and I'm a ship cleaner. I clean the planes. And she said, do you need a job? And I said, well, I really do. I need one pretty bad. And she said, how bad? And so I told her my sad story, and she said, well, I tell you what, my name is Cherry DeCluett, and they offered me the next ticket agent job. She said, but I have a job and you don't, so let me take you in and introduce you to the station manager. So she took me in and she introduced me, and his name was George Orr, and she said, Mr. Orr, this is Joy Bardo, and she needs a job, and I know you offered me the next ticket agent job, but would you give it to her instead, and I'll take the one after that. And so that's just a story of Southwest Airlines and how it is and was and will always be, I hope. But anyway, they did. He asked me what my history was, and I told him that I was a secretary. And he said, are you a good one? And I said, I'm a damn good one. And he said, okay. He said, take this piece of paper, and here's a red pen, and I want you to circle all the errors on it. And so I did, and he said, I want you to explain the errors. So I did. I told him what was wrong with the piece of paper, and he said, well, you're hired as my secretary because she just typed that. And I said, no, I don't want to take somebody else's job. I said, never mind, I got 2 other job offers. I'll go to another airline and I'll work for them instead. I don't want to take somebody else's job. And he said, no, I'm not going to fire her. I'll just move her over to provisioning and she can count money. I'll have her do that. And he said, but I want you to be my secretary and ticket agent and reservations agent. So I did all 3 jobs, and that's how I got hired at Southwest Airlines.
Thank you.